Welcome back, Azmyth Busters. We're glad to see you. And I believe this is the final character segment.
It is.
We did save the best for last. Well, in the sense that we've been really busy, and executive producer Buster One has been breaking his ass to get everything else done. So it makes sense that we're getting to this now. So we're happy to be here. This is the last of our character rift videos, and pretty excited about that. So here we go, man. Here we go.
Off the cliff.
So like we do with everybody.
It's going to be great.
Like we do with everybody, let's take a moment to give everybody a chance to know who the hell Buster One is. So who are you, and tell us a little bit about your gaming experience going into things.
Sure. My real name is Mark Ludlow. The Buster One moniker is something that Mike and I came up with as part of the channel. We just thought it was funny. So I'm going to use that, but I normally answer to Mark. If someone said, "Hey, Buster One," I probably wouldn't get it. Today, my monkey brain wouldn't engage, and it would pass right over. I have recently returned to tabletop gaming from about a 25-year hiatus. I, as a child in my pre-teens, played the first edition of Dungeons and Dragons, which I had to go research at the point that right before I met you, actually in 2020, because I wasn't sure what version it was. So I went and looked it up. So I played for maybe a year, first edition, had several of the books. And it was a blast. And the first time I saw it, it was one of those moments where your head explodes, though we didn't call it that when I was a kid.
Sure.
But it was that same effect where you're like, holy crap, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen in my entire life.
What age group are we talking about? What age are you at this point?
I was 11, I think.
11.
Something preteen. I want to say 11, maybe 10, somewhere in that range.
Mm-hmm.
And so I played, with the couple of people that I could convince to do it, and one of the other kids, Eric, was the dungeon master, simply because it was me and him at first, and then me and him and one of his other friends, and that lasted as long as it could, due to logistics, living on different sides of the city, and then eventually, as we all became teenagers and discovered girls, that became the priority.
I understand.
Right, and I then, as in college, so fast forward to my late 20s,
mm-hmm.
when I attended university, there was a group that I played with for probably a year, and we played GURPS, and we played multiple settings, and it was a blast. And we all went to these one couple's house. A bunch of us met, and we were the Friday night bunch, and it was weird because I was a 20-something kid, and this was what I was doing on my Friday nights, but it was great. And I used to chase girls the rest of the time, so that was fine.
Mm-hmm.
And then that fell apart for various reasons. And then with work and other things happening, I think really when the first Diablo came out, I locked into that and just stayed on a video game path.
Sure.
Until the time that I met you last year, when I made a hard right turn and decided I was going to change hobbies.
It's a pretty standard evolution, I think, for a lot of gamers our age to have played tabletop role-playing games either as kids or in college, in high school, whatever. A lot of those groups they don't stay together over time because people grow up and they have lives and they move all over the country and all over the world and such. And of course, this is pre-internet gaming. This is before we even had that kind of option. So fast forward, video games kind of sucks you back in. You still have a love, you still have a blood for it, and now you're back into tabletop gaming.
The way I think about it in my head in the past is that while I was playing video games, I would look lovingly and longingly at the world of tabletop RPGs, knowing that was something that was out of reach, simply because I didn't have the humans in my life in a large enough aggregate to accommodate playing.
Mm-hmm.
And I finally reached a point where my desire for better storytelling and a better game experience overpowered my fear of meeting new people. And that's when I met you, and that's kind of where my story started, you know, in this journey that you and I are on.
Right.
So from there, you know, what happened was, hi Bruce, my brother. You see what happened was,
and then see what happened.
You see what happened was. So you and I met, and I because I wanted you to run a pro game for me, a paid game that we still play on Tuesday nights. That's amazing. And it's a 5e game, and I love it. And I remember, granted, this was only a few months ago, which is why this whole experience for me is still kind of mind blowing. You talk about, you know, gaming being transformative.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember when we first met, in one of our first conversations, probably the first conversation, because I know the kind of asshole I am, and I'm like, I want to play 5e and only 5e, and without digging into that a whole lot, you know, fast forward to less than 9 months later, where my position on that has migrated entirely to, I want to learn every system possible, and I want to play 5e, but I want to play Pathfinder 2e, and I want to play Bloodlines and Black Magic. Hi, Jay Sonia, we love you. We're going to play Bloodlines and Black Magic.
In less than a year, we've played 5e. We've played. You've learned and played Pathfinder 1,
right.
And now we're taking the leap into Pathfinder 2.
Right.
So yeah, I hear you, man.
And it's I want to learn all the systems that come along with these games. What I've realized for myself is that the most important element is the story, and
right.
that a great story will override the best mechanic ever designed,
or no mechanics
ever designed. It was that story that you and I were talking about, where there was the conversation about the game master running a game in a store, and the observer, and the fight with the dragon. I thought that was a great example of the
right.
kind of game that I want to play in, and the kind of story that I want to be a part of. And I know a lot of times it seems, from what I've read and heard in conversations and the few people I've talked to recently, that there's some set of gamers and game masters where they intentionally will sit in opposition to each other, where it's you know, it's the players versus the GM sort of thing, and that's not what I want. I want
an adversarial.
Correct. Thank you. That was the word I was reaching.
Yeah.
For. Yes. And that's not, I want the opposite of whatever the cooperative. I want, you know,
collaborative
masters that I play with to be a storyteller, and all of the players to also be all of us telling a story together that's awesome and amazing and never been told before, in our own way, in our own with our own flavor, with your own style as a game master. That's what I want.
That's what we set the sights on every single time.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. Get down. All right. So you and I learned Pathfinder 2 together. Because
we're still learning. We're still
learning the system. Granted, we're still learning, but we decided when we were going to make this jump that part of this experience was learning the game together.
Yes.
And that's been, you know, I've always said one of the best ways to learn about a system is to create a character within that system. So,
right.
and I stand by that even to this day. So the base mechanics are all keyed onto the character. So let's shift into your character. We have the 3 basic building blocks that we've displayed in each of these characters to start off, which is the ancestry, your background, and your class. So let's start with the A word.
So I am going to play a goblin.
A goblin.
I love the look of Pathfinder goblins. They look so evil and so ferocious. They look like, to me, just voracious insects, in the sense of I could see this wave of goblins just coming, like crawl over some giant monster, and you know, the thing's alive for 1 second, and then the goblins are gone, and it's nothing but bones just frozen in a what the fuck happened to me position, because they hate the son of a bitch. They look amazing and evil and awesome. And
Fortunately, goblins don't breed like rabbits or cockroaches. So to get that many of them swarmed together at one point would take quite a feat. It would take quite a feat to get all those clans together with.
Right, but they looked like a creature that would do that. They looked that Absolutely. Like, holy crap! I hope there's not like Absolutely. 1,000 of them because they're going to come and eat me. They look amazing and evil in a really cool way to me. And so once I found out that they were a playable race, I'm like, I have to play that. I normally tend to do the human bald guy that sort of looks like me, whether it's a video game or in other games that we play. So I wanted to do something different.
Hard to port. You're way out of your language.
Right. I want to change it up.
For our busters who have not played Pathfinder 2, I'll note that playing a goblin as a playable race, although it was offered as a optional advanced race rule at some point with Pathfinder 1, it really wasn't. It really wasn't a race that you played as a player character. So the fact that they've added Goblin to the base rules as an ancestry, which is also a new term they're using for race because race sucks and ancestry is good. So that's a new thing. So you busters who aren't aware of that fact, it is a new thing that is now allowed. So what heritage of Goblin have you chosen?
I have chosen Unbreakable.
Unbreakable. All right. So basically, you're a little bit tougher. You can withstand a little bit more damage. You can absorb a little bit more punishment than the normal Goblin. So that's a good start for a martial type. I understand. Right. Yeah. And your background is what did you decide? I know you were juggling with a couple of backgrounds. What did you end up landing on?
I decided to go with Bounty Hunter, and I don't want to dig into the details of the background tie that we've talked about with Dana's character Desna and with my character for a couple of different reasons. We are going to be tying our backgrounds together, and I know if you've seen her video that we touched on that a little bit and we mentioned it. We are still going to do that. There's still some work that we want to do story-wise behind the scenes before we present that to all of you guys. That's why we're not really going to dig into that now, but we are still going to do it. So my background I chose is Bounty Hunter.
Okay. All right. Excellent.
And I actually want to move my background into the foreground, as it were, which again, you and I can discuss more in depth, but I want that to be an active profession that he's pursuing, not just something that he's done in the past.
Yeah, exactly. Someone got the idea in his head. And he's like, "Oh, I could do that.
I'm going to be a bounty hunter.
I can do that. I'll be a bounty hunter." Right.
Yes.
Given the opportunity, I could be a sellsword. I can be a gladiator fighter. I can be a bounty hunter. That sounds like
hunter. That makes the most sense. That makes the most sense.
So are you a strength base? So to spill the beans, sure. You've gone with class fighter.
I have gone with a fighter.
Right.
I am actually a dexterity base.
Let's put you guy up there.
My character's name is Simon Speedfoot. The Speedfoot is a running joke that I have with my wife that we won't get into. It's funny though. Trust me. Hence the joke part.
I love it. I think it's really funny.
And Simon just, based on knowing Speedfoot was going to be his last name, Simon just made sense in my head. So Simon Speedfoot.
And this is a given name that he took for himself. He was likely, correct. As you were saying, he was likely named Blogroth or Malgron.
Something stupid, right? Someone named him something stupid, and he's like, no. Also, when he decided to go, here back to the bounty hunter loop, because this is the part I figured out, right? When he decided, hey, I should be a bounty hunter, he realized that it made sense to have a human name and not a goblin name.
Oh, better for business, better for advertising.
Humanoid name. That was
better on the wanted posters. Sure.
Right. Collecting your reward, right, is going to be a little easier if they know who you, if it's a name everyone can say, right? That just seemed like if you're going to build your notoriety, make sure it's a name people can pronounce, right? So the Simon Speedfoot he thought was kind of catchy, and given that he's a dex-based fighter, that kind of made sense, right? Because he's a nimble little fellow. He's a green skinned goblin. He's 2'2". He's I mean, goblins range I think up to 3 feet, so we kind of went in the middle. So he's
Sure.
2'2", weighs a whole 45 pounds, soaking wet.
And you're
I
going
wasn't sure on the weight, so I actually went and looked up infants of the same kind of length, and then kind of buffed him up a little bit because I'm like 19 pounds. He's got to weigh more than 19 pounds. Like 45, he's just some muscle on the boy, you know.
And you've gone for the strength variety of fighter rather than the dex-based fighter?
No, I'm going dex.
Oh, you are going dex.
Yeah, I'm going dex. He's a high dex character, hence the Speedfoot, right? It's the dex thing.
Let's take a look at him. Let's pop him up.
Yeah.
And let's have a look at him.
Yeah.
All right.
There's Simon.
Goblin Unbreakable Bounty Hunter Fighter. And his strength is 14. He has an 18 dex, a 14 con, 10 intelligence, 8 wisdom, par for the course, and a 14 charisma. So he's a likable goblin. He's a very likable goblin, I'm sure.
Again, this is an advantage. So the other thing, like I said, he's green. He's got really big ears. I know all goblins have really big ears. He has really big ears, even for a goblin. He's got really big ears. So super big ears.
Even on the floppier side of ears, they're so big.
I mean, I think they're still pointy, but maybe they they go way out and they hang kind of thing,
flop over a little bit.
He's got some jewelry action. He's got some earrings going on. So I'm hoping that I can convince both Chris and my lovely, awesome, super talented niece to both draw pictures of Simon for me. I would love to have a Chris version and a chibi version.
A funny goblin story. A funny little goblin story that I'll throw in as an anecdote. Years ago, the wife of one of the Pathfinder developers was making these hats. Yeah. And they were basically skull caps made of fabric with goblin ears. Nice. And I don't think she made a bunch of them. I think she only made a few of them, and I managed to get one that year.
Oh, sweet.
Which I still have. I still have my goblin hat. So yeah, one of these times in the stream, I will be so bold as to goblin up and show you what I'm talking about. So
that'd be funny. Yeah, no, that's great.
All right. So what else do you want to talk about his background? He's a follower of Caden Kalian, which is also kind of funny. That's
it really made sense. I like having background tie-ins with my other player characters. I think that was a fun thing that we did in our Tuesday night game with my Shield brothers. And I really like that. It's a really fun thing, and it's a way to link people together and tell some great stories. And so I know that Daisy is a champion of Caden Kalian, and in reading about goblins, and I admit I'm behind the curve on my Pathfinder 2 reading, so I apologize for my knowledge gaps. But in reading about goblins, they talked about that adventure goblins were often would often follow Caden Kalian, and to me it made sense from Simon's perspective, because at the kind of the base level he's like, wait, so this guy was a drunk and he became a god, right, just because he was a drunk. And I'm like,
right,
Simon's he's like, I can get behind that. I can get behind that. I can hang out. I can get behind a guy who basically drank his way into becoming a deity. I'm down.
Well, certainly from the goblin perspective, Caden Kalian is one of the most palatable of the Galarian gods to swallow, kind of to.
Right. Yeah.
All right. So he's a follower of Caden Kalian.
That makes sense.
Do you want to share anything about his background?
I don't yet, because I think I want to have a conversation with Dana first and make sure that she and I are in agreement with all the various elements that you and I have discussed. I believe that she will be, but I would like to kind of pitch that to her, just in case she wants to twist it in some way, because she's great about that. She may take what you've written and flip it onto yours somehow. So maybe not.
Yeah, but it's not going to. She can do that with her character, but not with yours. That's why you can solidify with yours.
Right. Exactly.
At this point. So, yeah. All right. All right, so I guess we'll find out in play.
Yeah.
We are recording our session 0 a little bit later this week, and we begin recording our play sections the next following week. And you can expect these to be in front of you, premiered and promoted wherever you will see the Azbusters logo. So, anything else you want to tell us about Simon Speedfoot on the way out the door?
No, not really. I'm looking forward to playing him and kind of developing the character as we go forward. That's always something that I enjoy doing in the couple of times that I've done it, and it's challenging and rewarding. I know Dana was talking about trying to flesh out personality traits to make an interesting character. That's something that I find very challenging as well. And when I finally get to a place where I'm happy in beginning that evolution, it's very fulfilling when I hit that. I know I feel like I'm getting there a little bit, with Darius, and so that's a cool feeling when you finally feel like you kind of own the personality of that character different from your own a little bit.
Have you ever used or seen the personality wheel? You know what I'm talking about? It's used in therapy, and it's a wonderful thing when determining NPCs if you're a dungeon master, or for PCs if you're trying to figure out your character. If you just look it up online, if you do a Google search for personality wheel, they're generally color coded, and usually the personality types are grouped sometimes with an inner and an outer wheel. One leads you to the next, and I find these things to be really useful tools when I'm trying to narrow down like something gritty I want about the character and I just can't put my thumb on it. I'll usually go to a wheel like that, and within about 5 minutes I'm like, boom, boom, I have the vision, I can see it in my head. That's it. Gotcha. So, you may want to do that. As for the busters listening, a little secret from the frugal GM, you don't have to pay big money for charts and for things. You can use these kind of things that are readily available to you on the internet. And this is something that therapists use to group and describe emotions and feelings and personality traits, to kind of make them more palatable and explainable for people who don't have a strong understanding of it. And so we'll just leave it at that. Great thing.
Good advice. I will definitely go take a look.
Yeah, it's a great thing and a great tool to bring into it.
Awesome.
So I've been asking all of our players as we kind of muster out at each one of these. And I know you have a strong opinion on this as well. Besides all of the things that you and I see eye to eye on, and we've been talking about it again and again on inclusion, the transmorphative power of gaming, the therapeutic advantages of gaming, and having this kind of social contract, all that kind of stuff. Putting all that there, right? We're eye to eye on that. What do you, as a player, not necessarily the executive producer, hand in hand with me with our same kind of thing, marking in step, but you as a player, what do you most look forward to, and what do you want to get out of this?
Developing my friendships with the other players.
Huge.
Everyone in this play group is someone that I have met or reconnected with in the last year. So to the transformative bit, and this will be my end out for the video.
Mm-hmm.
My niece is playing, and she's amazing. All three of my nieces are amazing. But Dana is my niece, and she's playing in the game with us.
Yeah, Dana's pretty incredible.
She's very incredible. And to my former statement, so this is, in the last month, you were on the first call when we first talked again as adults. I mean, the prior conversations that she and I had as actual humans were, her as a preteen. So, sure. That reconnecting and getting to build that relationship with her, as well as you and all of these new friends that I have. That's the exciting part for me.
Awesome.
Is getting to do that with all of you, and just to play games and laugh my face off.
Yeah. Get down.
Yeah, man.
All right. Well, like this video, subscribe to the channel, see all the characters, meet all my players. This is the whole corral. This is the kit and caboodle. So do what you do. Do that down there, and also tell your friends. Tell your friends this is happening. First Pathfinder, and then we're going to jump into another system, and then another, and then another, and then another. It's going to be an ongoing thing. We want to be part of your lives. Please bring us in, and that's all I got to say. Say goodbye, Mark.
Thanks,
Buster
everyone.
one out. Oh, that's your line. I'm sorry.